Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I've got here a Blue Yeti microphone, very popular podcasting and small content creator streamer microphone. It's a USB condenser microphone, and it's a pretty good all-rounder one. It's very popular. My only big grievance with this microphone is that it comes with this solid stand, which means you can tell instantly when one of your friends has a Blue Yeti because they'll be using a condenser microphone that picks up every knock and bang on the desk along with every single keystroke they make on their mechanical keyboard. Anyway, this one has a bad USB port on it. Apparently it took a tumble, it fell off the table or the desk or something, and it landed on the cable apparently. So the microphone port is the USB port is faulty. Now it doesn't feel wobbly or anything, but yeah, that seems to be the inference. So we're going to take this thing apart and do an inspection and see what we find. And I think we might be doing I think we may well be doing a USB port replacement on it. So let's take it out of this stand just by unscrewing both sides all the way. Incidentally, if you do have one of these and you do have a problem with the solid stand, you can get an adapter that will screw into the bottom, so you can put this onto a boom arm, kind of like how my microphone is, incidentally. There's the microphone setup that I'm on here, so that's a USB condenser in a shock mount, as condenser microphones should be, just on a USB arm going back there. Sorry for the crazy camera angle, but yeah. So let's open this thing up and take a look at the board and see what state it's in. So I don't know how you open these things. There's a couple of screws in the bottom, so let's take those out and see what access that gives me. And that's all one piece. That's not coming off. Does it split halfway up? Yeah, that bit's moving. I wonder if do these need to come off? Nope, those don't want to pull off. Might have to look this one up. See, I would expect the entire bottom case to slide off now. However, obviously the controls prevent that from happening. Do any of these pull off? Nope. It really feels like they need to. I might have to just give a judicious tug on one of these and just see if it wants to, and just be like, come on. There we go. Yep. Okay, those do come off. I'm just using some tweezers to pry that out. Trying to be careful not to leave marks on the case. I'm going to pull out some of my dentist hooks here. I very rarely resort to these, but sometimes it's exactly what you need. Just see if I can thread that guy down underneath. And then I'll get the tweezers on the other side. Oh, no, that doesn't want to go. Alright, can I just reach in through that hole and pry that out? Okay, let's try a different one. Volume. Mute button. Put a bit of cloth around this so I can grab it with some pliers. Yeah. That one gave me a heart attack because it's a tactile button. So it looked like I just ripped the button out. Alright, there we go. The long flat underneath it did it there. I've marked that dial a little bit trying to go in with the pliers there. However, thankfully this is the back of it, so yeah, that could have been better. That one did not go without a fight. Let's hope that was worth it. Not thrilled with that. I don't believe it. Still not coming out. Ah, there's another screw down here. If it turns out that those didn't need to come out, I'm going to be furious. Ah, no. Those would have needed to come off. Made the right call. Alright. So, here's the inside of the Blue Yeti. So, I'm not a microphone expert. However, I think we've got 2 pickup capsules in here. There's one there and one on the other side. And this is how it can have multiple pickup patterns. The selector switch here that does the various patterns, you've got cardioid or various combinations or dual-sided. And I think that just essentially switches whether it's using one or both of these pickups and how much separation there is between them, perhaps. The USB port, however, honestly, this doesn't look broken to me. It's still soldered onto the board. There's no cracks in the solder joins, and it's not flapping around. Let's point the microscope in there and just see if there are some problems with the pins. Those pins do look a little bit bashed there, so I'm not sure whether it should look like that. It looks kind of flattened. I'm going to grab something else that has a USB mini port and do a comparison. Ah, no fear. Here's the USB mini port on an old HDMI capture box I've got, and as you can see, all 5 pins should be standing up quite prominently like that, so they actually contact the plug when it's connected in. And these ones, I can't quite fit this under the scope, but those ones you can just see in there that they've very much been bashed flat. So that's the problem. So yeah, so that port has definitely failed. Okay, so new USB port it is then. So what we'll do, I wonder if I can take that off in situ. There's going to be an interconnect between these boards somewhere, I think. Yes, there is. So this is a 2-board design, and the boards interconnect about here. If you look down between, we can just find the angle there. So I'm just pointing it out with an arrow now. You can see there's a connector standing up off of the board, and those pins on that connector are soldered on there and there. So we could desolder that in order to separate these 2 boards. However, given that the port is all the way down here away from everything, I think we can just remove this in situ. So that is exactly what I will do. So I might even just see if I can solder sucker that out. Might not even have to use anything exotic. I say using a exotic electric desoldering gun. Either way, I'm going to take that off. And then we can look about getting a replacement. So can I put this in? No, I can't put it in its stand. I'm just going to grab the vise so I can vice grip this up. Alright, I'm warming up the desoldering gun. And I'm just going to touch up these pads before we go in with the desoldering gun, because that usually helps a little bit. So we do actually look like we've got some nice clean solder joints on here. They're nice and shiny. I wonder if you could just solder wick these out if you wanted to be a soldering iron hero with this. That's entirely possible. I'm going to use my desoldering gun just simply because that just makes this kind of thing really easy for through-hole stuff. Just waiting on the soldering iron to heat up. I'm going to run this a little bit lower actually. Let's go down to 360 degrees. I normally run at 400 for motherboards and stuff. However, this is a single-sided board. We don't need that kind of heat. And having too much heat just runs the risk of damaging stuff. Just mix some fresh solder into that. There we go, that'll do. We don't care that there's a million bridges because we're about to take all of the solder off. All right, time for Bert. Can we tighten the vise? I wouldn't say that was particularly successful, if I'm honest. I think I shall finish that off with a hot air, and then use the. I'll probably use the desoldering gun to clear the holes afterwards. Worth a try. Warming up the area. Through-hole device, so not a lot of danger here. There we go. Although in fairness, with the desoldering gun, we got most of the holes clear first time, but even still, I'm gonna give that a second pass just to clear those holes fully. Because if you do get completely clear holes, that makes your life so much easier. Okay, right. That's a really basic through-hole USB mini socket, so this should be really easy to track down. I'm just going to have a quick rummage in my USB ports collection, just in case I've already got one. No, that's a shame. I've got everything except I've got loads of micro ports, but I don't have a single mini port, I don't think. Okay, to eBay we go. USB mini port. Email. Breakout boards. I need through hole, not surface mount. Oh, come on, these are all adapters. That's good, but it's SMD. Let's actually try through hole in the description. No matches. Blue Yeti mic replacement. Oh, that's the right one, but it's £5 for a single port. I don't want to pay £5 for one. Come on, this should be the easiest connector in the world to find. I'm just not searching for the right thing here. 10 for £4. That's more like it, but it's from China, and I don't want to wait that long. I hate it, but I think that's my best bet. Also, though, that's not a four-legged one. It'll probably fit. It's just not great because it's only got 2 anchors on it. What are you? This looks correct. Could I get a better picture of it? You know, I reckon that's got to be through hole, because if you look at these ones on sale here, if you look at the design of the, if you look at the design of it with the way it's got the springs on it, and we switch back to that one, It's got exactly the same design. I think this is the same thing, but cheaper. Got the little bit of plastic on the side there. I think that's the same thing, just cheaper. I'm going to take a pot shot at that. I'll take 2 of those, please. All right, parts ordered. See you in a couple of days, everyone. And we're back with a pair of new ports. So, as always, I've bought 2, just because it means that if I make a complete hash up of it, I get another attempt at it. And if I don't make a complete hash up of it, well, now I've got a spare for the next one that I do. So I'm going to put that in my collection. This one should be pretty easy now, because this is through hole. So let's get the camera lined up, and I'll warm up the soldering iron, and we should be done in the next 5 minutes. Right, so let's do a test fit. This is going to come in from the bottom, so let's just see if that goes in. Pins are being awkward. There we go. Right. I might actually take this out, the clamp. That feels like it's on, but I can't really tell. I'm just going to solder just one of the anchors. Just to hold that in place. And now I'll just take it out the clamp and do a inspection on that. Right, that's flat. That's flat. Oh, that's fine. It's just a really thick circuit board, so the pins don't stick out by much. Yeah, that's fine. Let's keep going. Just lingering on these anchor points to make sure that the heat actually goes into the port. And with my thumb on the back of the port, if I start burning my finger, then I know we've got heat in there. There we go. Now let's get the actual data pins. Much easier there because there's a lot less thermal mass. And I'll just quickly just reflow each one of those. Beautiful. Now a little bit of alcohol and a toothbrush. Boop. There we go. That's just fine. And we've got a nice new port on there. And when we look inside, well, I'm not going to bother getting the microscope out, but those pins look absolutely fine. So, easy way to check now is just simply to put the whole thing back together again. I mean, I could just plug a cable into the bottom of it now and see if it works. That, considering the annoyance that we had disassembling this, that would be the sensible thing to do. So, yeah, actually, I'm going to grab a USB mini cable and plug this thing in. Okay, right. The microphone was detected right away. There we go. This is the Yeti microphone that we're on now. No idea how this is sounding. Just for reference, I am recording through OBS and I've got a noise suppression filter switched on, which should dial out a little bit of the background hiss, but I've done zero setup on this microphone. So, yeah. Anyway, it's detected by Windows and it works. So, that should be all good. Let's get it reassembled and then we'll give it one more test just for posterity. Right, now I've got to remember how this thing goes back together. So, that should just slide into there. And we'll just line up the bottom. There we go. That looks good. And I'll just put one of the screws in there just to hold that in, and then I can start putting all of the buttons back in. Screwdriver? Screwdriver? Anything? You'll do. mute button. So this guy kind of clips over the top, so theoretically I should just have to click that on, and I can kind of peer through the volume button just to make sure I'm aligned for that. There we go. It's got a nice action on it. Makes a nice hollow ka-thunk, which probably, well, hopefully it doesn't sound through the mic. Right, we've got, now I've got to remember which one of these is which. Maybe that's the selector switch. Yeah. That looks right. Yeah, so that must be the volume. So therefore that must be the gain. Yeah, there we go. Right, I'm going to give these a firm push now. Oh. Oh. There we go. Right. Volume, mute, pattern, and gain. Good. Right, so now we can put this little rubber stop in the base again that covers up the screw. And now we just got to put the whole thing back in the stand. There we go. Right, now I'll plug this in one more time and we'll just make sure that all the selector switches work on it. They better do, because I don't want to take it apart again. Interesting. I think this thing always comes on as mute by default, which is kind of neat. It did that the first time I plugged it in, so I think it is just always muted on first power up, which is a really good idea because it means it can never be accidentally hot. By the same token, it also means that it can be accidentally muted, but then it flashes a light at you when it's muted, which is also nice. Unmuted. Cool. Right, so there is a volume dial here, but that's for the headphone feedback. So you can have a pair of headphones plugged into the bottom and listen to your own voice on that for monitoring. I'm not going to bother getting some headphones out, I'm not going to lie. The gain. That's with the gain turned right up. So I'm now being very quiet. Wow, this thing's got a lot of internal amplification. No wonder it's really good for just streamers. I'm being very quiet while I turn it down in Windows. Right, there we go. That's a normal gain level. So I should be coming out of your right ear hole at the moment because it's a stereo mic and I'm on the right. That's it now in mono mode. So now, regardless, I'm sideways on with the mic, but it will just always hear me center channel. Then cardioid pattern. This should give a little bit of directionality that drops off as I turn it around. Yeah. And now in duo mode, we should find that it can hear me from behind, from in front of the microphone, and from behind like that. So I can have the microphone in the middle with one person on either side. There we go. That seems to work pretty well. I actually quite like, yeah, it's so, yeah. The Blue Yeti has always been one of those microphones where I slightly dislike it because everyone's got one. Kind of like the Shure SM7B. I don't like the Shure SM7B because everyone has one. And I'm one of those. However, the features on it are really good. Having the built-in gain is really handy, and those different pickup patterns are kind of nice as well. So yeah, good mic. Definitely needs to be on a better stand though, because if I tap the table, really heckin' loud. Now I'll switch back to my Samson mic. Now we're back on the Samson mic, and if I tap the table with the Samson, exactly the same tap, completely different because this one's on a boom arm. So yeah, if you do run one of these, I would definitely strongly recommend get rid of the solid stand. Get a boom arm or something that has a shock mount on it, because yeah, your friends will thank you for not having all of your desk feedback sounds coming straight through your microphone. So yeah, good. All right, that's it. That's the end of the video. Thanks everyone. Bye.